I think it's really exciting. As you know, it was an honor for me to be on BTE. You know, being on that, and just it was exciting because a lot of people I knew, when they would see my logo from my work office chair, that they'd be like, "Holy shit, this is happening!" So I got a lot of people like so excited to see me in it that don't even pay attention to CEO. Like, dude, I can't believe you're on BTE. I'm like, do you not know what we did last year? He's like, no, what did you do? I'm like, you're kidding, right? So he's like, no, I wasn't paying attention. I'm like, I did a New Japan show in Florida. Like, oh, that was you? I'm like, oh my God. So little things like that, it was pretty funny. But again, you know, Michael Nakazawa going to do what's going to take. I'm willing to, you know, take some bumps and bruises to hopefully end his career before it starts. But we will see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're on the line with Alex Jebailey right now. You can follow on Twitter at CEO Jeballey or at CEO Gaming. And CEO 2019, June 28th to the 30th. June 29th is the CEO Cross AEW event over at the what's the arena again? I'm sorry, the Ocean Center in Daytona.
It's the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach. We actually haven't officially named the show yet. We are still kind of building up to that, but I'm kind of excited for people to see. And you know, the big difference that we have over last year was New Japan was honestly a pleasure to work with. They put all their trust into me and Kenny to put on this show. But for this to be an overall successful show, I need both sides to kind of push it. So AEW already, you know, promoting it, tweeting about it. Cody Rhodes and I are in discussions on, you know, how to make this such a great show with Kenny and the Bucks. So I'm really excited to be able to work more closely with a wrestling company that's also local. You know, and all the wrestlers will already be nearby. But, you know, going back, New Japan was just such an honor for me. Taking care of some of the guys that stayed behind was a real pleasure to hang out with them. And, you know, Kenny helped out with translating and stuff. So, but I think this year, all around, the promotion is going to be better. More people are going to know about it. More people are going to come out to it. And I'm kind of excited for it to happen.
Yeah, absolutely, and that, I remember seeing that out on Twitter. A couple tweets, you know, it's like that was really cool. You had to have them all in, and it's amazing how like fluent Kenny is. I mean, he took that time and effort to really learn the language that way, and that's something very admirable. I can barely learn English, let alone a second language as hard as Japanese.
And what's crazy is I was in Japan for New Year's, and unfortunately, after his loss at Wrestle Kingdom, we got to hang out. We went to a karaoke bar to play video games with Logan, one of the commentators that also did it with Golden Boy and Ringe last year from the fighting game community. And we went to a coffee place, and he ordered coffee, like 3 coffees for all of us. And there was a mistake on the order. So when he went to go back to correct it, he spoke like perfect Japanese. I'm like, unless you're fluent in this language, there's no way you could correct a food or like a coffee order the way he did fluently. So I'm like, all right, this guy is gifted. He speaks Japanese perfectly. And that was kind of where I knew that, okay, this is legit. Like, I'm kind of jealous that he did take the time. You know, he put in 10 years of hard work to get where he is. Now this amazing documentary just came out yesterday, OMWN documentary. I haven't seen it yet. I actually approved some of my CEO footage to go in that thing, so really excited to see it. But just seeing all the positive feedback he's getting, it's really exciting to see. Now's his time, man, and I think AEW is going to do really well. I'm ready for them, and I actually might be going to Double or Nothing, so we'll see how that all goes.
I'm jealous. I want to go so bad. Anyway, so again, we're on the line with Alex Jebailey, and I kind of wanted to get the wrestling questions out of the way first, really quick. And for those gaming FGC people that are tuning in, someone had asked me over on Facebook actually about because obviously last year with Daytona there was some I don't want to call them issues, but there were concerns about the Daytona area in which you have been very vocal and very forward with talking to officials in Daytona Beach yourself about making progress and making changes out that way. And someone had asked, like, you know, what are your current discussions going on with that? What kind of progress is going on there leading up to the event in June?
I mean, it's looking great. You know, it's controversial, right? Like they passed a panhandling ordinance that I didn't lobby for so much. I just told them like how my event experience went and how I think, you know, Daytona has so much potential, but they need to clean things up. And they passed that ordinance, and overnight, it cleaned up the streets. And a lot of local businesses, a lot of friends I know that live there were just like, wow, this like, it feels so much nicer. And they're like, we're so excited for you to come back. I think everyone's going to have a good time. There's still the bigger discussion. People are like, why is he talking about the racism? Like, racism can exist everywhere. But I think it kind of went hand in hand with the panhandlers. And I think this year's going to be a lot safer. I mean, nobody got hurt last year. Nobody went to the hospital or anything like that. So it's more of a, just like some bad areas of any downtown metropolitan city. You got to just always be vigilant and keep an eye out. But I'm honestly not too worried. I think, 98% of people had a great time. I always want 100% to have a good time. But this year, like, if I'm walking the streets late at night and I go there quite often, and I bring all my friends of all diversities, and we have no issues, I think everyone's going to have a safe time this year. The local police, we're not going to have a huge presence in police officers everywhere because that does scare some people as well, which I've been very open to the feedback on. But, they're going to be around. They're going to be close by if there's any issues. But, again, I have no issue. I have no major worries or concerns that anyone's going to have a really dangerous time or anything like that. It's going to be fine.
All right, cool. Yeah, because someone brought that up, and I remember that being a big thing around the time last year for the event. And another big thing that happened actually this year was obviously for anybody who's in the FGC tuning in and like, oh, they're talking wrestling, whatever. That's the whole point of the show. But to please you as well.
Yeah.
One of the big talking points was for the Evo announcement with Melee being out of the big Evo lineup this year, and you had tweeted out not long thereafter that Melee is still available at CEO, if memory serves me right.
Yep.
What's the importance of, because I know you promote your side tournaments and everything else of that sort as much as you would the main stage games. And, what's the importance of being so inclusive and openly so inclusive about all the other games of the FGC, not just, the usual main titles?
Right. I mean, I do my best to feature what will, financially bring people in as well, because these events are not cheap to put on. But Melee has just always been huge in Florida in general, and I'm always here to support the local community. So it's a no-brainer for me to, keep the love of Melee alive, especially from a Florida standpoint. From an Evo standpoint, I don't disagree with their decision at all, because, Ultimate's just going to be so freaking huge. They're going to need all the space they can get for that kind of, thing. So, but yeah, the idea is to just, if people want to play a game, feature it. Like, a lot of people don't want to play the main titles like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. They want to enjoy their games. And if that, CEO is an event that can bring people together, play whatever they want, it takes them to obviously step up and try to run it and, and support it themselves, because we can only schedule so many things. We can only hire so many streams and casters, and that all adds up. And if you have a game that's only going to bring 20 people, like, it doesn't make sense to, spend $3,000-$4,000 in commentary and production and all that, So some people need to be cognizant of that. But in general, I think it's going to be a great summer for every game at every tournament across the board. So, but my main focus obviously is put on a great event. I always keep CEO at its heart as a fighting game tournament, where it's all about that, and the wrestling is just an awesome bonus that has successfully crossed over the two worlds in the last year. So just to keep kind of going there, but always remind people that I'm a fighting game tournament guy. This is what they'll always be. That's what it's all about on Sunday during the finals, and just support everyone that wants to support the event.
Yep, and that great event, CEO 2019 in Daytona Beach, Florida, June 28th to 30th, ceogaming.org to sign up for the tournament. There's still time to set up. The early birds are over, but you could still sign up for the games. And when is the deadline for that, by the way?
June 19th, I want to say. I'm actually in Sweden I work for DreamHack as well. So I'll be in Sweden, and I fly back the day it kind of ends. I do work with somebody by the name of Curly W, who handles all my bracketing now. And my early days, it was me staying up to like 3 in the morning finishing and seeding brackets. Now I have a guy that does an amazing job, and that takes off one of the biggest stress factors of what I do. So, but middle of June, but it's on the website labeled under the registration page. So plenty of time. Our numbers are way up from last year, but which is a good sign, because people really wait until the last second when it comes to these events. Like, unlike the wrestling world, like, it sells out in the first couple days. These fighting game events, people wait until the last second. You can never you can predict for the most part, but you never really know until that last week when you go, why the hell are 800 people signing up on the final day? Like, that's happened at CEO. I had 700 sign up in the last weekend once. So it's just insane. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're on the line with Alex Jebailey. Jebailey, I got one more for you because I know your time is valuable and you've got things to do. So one of the main things that attracted me, my best friend Jeff, he actually introduced me to the FGC through CEO, and he's like, dude, you got to watch this. The guy has a wrestling ring for the finals day, like, and people make their entrances and everything. And I thought that was one of the coolest things ever. I mean, being a big wrestling fan myself, and obviously I've always played fighting games my entire life. So CEO literally gave me that bug for the FGC, and I've played in Evo and East Coast Throwdown, all other stuff. But anyway, to my main question, there have been many entrances throughout the finals days, many have passed CEOs, and it's one of the big attractions of tournament season. And some guys take advantage of it and come out of their shells, and some people not so much. And let's just be honest. But what would you say is your favorite entrance that you've had on finals day through the entire time of CEO?
Oof. There's always three that come to mind. The first early one, the first guy to really come out of his shell was Yipes, IFC Yipes. He did a Goldberg entrance. This was 2013, I believe, or 12, and he came in against Flocker. He ended up getting destroyed by Flocker, but he came in perfectly. The crowd was all hype about it. He came in, he stared down Flocker. So that was always my number one, just from nostalgia and the early days of this is the first guy to do it. But it wasn't until there's two other ones. K-Brad's entrance was awesome. He did the Stone Cold Steve Austin entrance. Stone Cold shouted him out. That brought eyes to my event. That was really cool. And all I was thinking as he was doing the entrance was please do not drop those monster cans. Please do not drop those monster cans. Because if we wouldn't have caught those, the whole thing would have been null and void. But he caught them. It's funny when you watch the videos, he doesn't actually pour it into his mouth. It goes off to the side. But I remember I was watching him, and I had to run to the other ballroom to hand out the Smash Brothers awards. So I literally left after he caught the second can. I'm like, thank God. And then I run behind the back hallways to take the shortcut over. But that was huge. That blew up. But then my honestly personal one would have to be the Dominion one, where we did the Undertaker entrance, but we had to play, I think it was Wiz Khalifa's Black and Yellow, because we didn't have the Undertaker song for whatever reason. But we did that. And me and Seglia, he's one of the producers for Evo, a lot of events. He helped produce the CEO wrestling event last year. He dealt with the lights. I was the one who snuck Dominion in the ring while the lights were turned off. And I always look back, I'm like, if the lights went up about 5 seconds sooner and it was done, it would have been perfect. Because the lights went out for a good 20 seconds or so, and I thought that was 5 seconds too long. But what you couldn't see on camera, the crowd went nuts when they finally realized that he appeared in the ring sitting next to his opponent, Bonchan. But we in the crowd were laughing for 10 minutes. Just nonstop, and actually, what I really loved about that match they ended up having was probably one of the best matches. It was your historical Sagat versus Guile and Street Fighter 4 type matchup. It was just really exciting to see it. But yeah, those would be my best. There's always been others where the crowd sings along. Somebody came into the Pokemon theme, and literally 400 people were singing it along. It was all pretty damn awesome. So, a lot of good entrances. Last couple years have been great. Last year we had Kazunoko do the from Dragon Ball Fighters Yamcha, being beat up, and then we had the overhead cam, and just a lot of cool things. But overall, people have been starting to come out of their shells, doing better entrances. But it's still been working. I wish there was a way to make them go quicker, because we're starting to run behind always because of these entrances that we have to do, and it's kind of crazy. But I'm glad it's become a thing synonymous with CEO. People really enjoy it. As long as people enjoy it, we'll keep doing it. Getting a ring compared to another kind of stage is actually quite inexpensive in terms of production value. So it just kind of started in 2012, and here we are 7-8 years later still doing it.
Yep, and like I said, that's what hooked me to your event, but then again, in general, fighting games in general, the FGC scene, and I never turned back, thankfully. Anyway, Jebailey, I will let you go at this time. Again, if you want to follow him on Twitter, at CEO Jebailey, at CEO Gaming. There's an Instagram, too, at CEO Gaming Inc., CEO 2019, yep. June 28th to June 30th. And then also be sure to check out his podcast. You can find that on Apple Podcasts, on any of your podcast outlets where you get your favorite shows. And anything else you want to throw out there before you go?
No, just thanks for tuning in. I see you're building this up. Just it takes time, but great questions, man. Great job and everything. I do a lot of interviews these days, so but just excited to get through these next couple months leading up to the event, and still finalizing all the nitty gritty with AEW. But just really excited to be in an opportunity to be a good friend with Kenny Omega. He's such a great guy. He does this for the love of what he does and the love of the